Hi, I'm going to continue with the theme that seems to be created here today. Have you ever been hit by the truth? Sorry, I'm going to have to put my glasses on. Have you ever been hit by the truth so hard and in a really unexpected way that you can't do anything but change? Has anyone else here perhaps read Sarah Wilson's book, First We Make the Beast Beautiful? It's a really good read by an interesting young woman about her struggles in life with mental health issues despite being incredibly successful. Her book helped me hunt down my own PTSD and secondary vicarious trauma beasts, which I made so beautiful that I now have my power back and a new energy and purpose in life. That is to share with you my journey as a carer, a failure, and a burnout survivor, and about how I slayed the beast that stole my mojo. This cup represents my mojo, our fuel, our life force, our joy, your mojos. So where did my mojo go? I've been a carer for what seems my whole life, caring for my dad before he got sober, nursing both my parents and close friends through terminal illness, and as a foster mum, to some 45 children, and sometimes their parents and grandparents, and now their children, shepherding them through their own grief and trauma. Being removed from a parent is a trauma in itself. If one or both were suffering mental illness or had died or been incarcerated or perhaps threatening suicide at the time, then we can say the trauma has been significantly compounded. We are often overexposed to the traumas of those around us, hidden behind the overt behaviours of our kids, such as hypervigilance, oppositional defiance and withdrawal. We are always at risk of secondary vicarious trauma ourselves. We start to exhibit similar behaviour, masking our own feelings and unresolved issues. We stop asking for and even knowing what we need. We isolate ourselves, withdrawing from what used to bring us joy, make us fun to be around, becoming lonely and fatigued. As carers, we somehow find the time in our crazy busy lives to undertake much training about helping those we care for, how to heal their trauma, rewire their hopefully plastic brains, but never really enough about our own healing and self-care, and the very real probability of burnout and the devastation it can bring to us, let alone those around us. Burnout comes shortly after a well-meaning caseworker who's also burnt out asks you as they run out your door, oh yeah, another thing, is there anything you need to look after yourself? As they also glance down at the pile of papers they've left for you to flick and tick, because they also just told you how busy they are and that there's no time right now to do it. And it's probably only that questionnaire where you rate your feelings, anyway. All you hear in your head is the system's under-resourced and broken. When you're too busy to do the all-important paperwork in the precious hour you've blocked out in your crazy busy day of your everyday crazy life to support the traumatised child front and centre in your care, you are also perhaps too busy to notice your mojo's gone. Your mojo might have been missing for a good month or year or decade, like mine. Or that beast is still lurking around and draining your cup. What you do notice is the failure you feel as the door closes behind the caseworker, and yet again you know they will misinterpret what you said. They will misunderstand whatever it was the meeting was just about. But it's okay, because we have Renee Brene Brown. The power of vulnerability. I'm feeling it now. Failure is fine and dandy and good and necessary and builds resilience. This sounds like something Brene would say. She's a shame and vulnerability researcher who really nails a TED Talk. She also says, when failure is not possible, creativity dies. As carers, for us, when failure is not possible, bits of us die. The ever-wise Brene says, anger is a secondary emotion that serves a socially acceptable mask for the many more difficult emotions that we feel but don't express. Like fear of failing, anger is also losing our tolerance for emotion and our vulnerability, the essence, the essential ingredient that makes us carers in the first place. So what happens when a carer can't even express anger, that emotion that masks the more difficult emotions? Another quote from Brene. Even though there's no way to do it all, it's all still expected. Shame is when you can't pull off looking like it's all under control anymore. Shame is felt as pain. Father Richard Moore, a wise friend of Brene's, says, pain that is not transformed will always be transmitted. Oh my God. This was too scary for me to imagine when I heard it. The rates of pain transmission, infection in a huge family of trauma survivors that I may have been responsible for. That's when I found my mojo. I learned self-care, serious self-care. I want to share the tools I found, including Brene, who urges us to stand our sacred ground, not to shrink, not to puff, for this allows us to learn to ask for what we legitimately need to keep this cup full. How to be comfortable being your vulnerable self and being confident doing what's right intuitively from deep within your gut in an imperfect system, in an imperfect world full of imperfect people, without fear of failure, knowing that this is what makes you a great carer, and simply doing your best in helping young people to win or keep trying to win at the game of life, no matter what shitty hand the dealer dealt them or you. This cup represents our fuel, our life force, our energy and our mojos. You can fill it up to the brim. I can teach you how to do that, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to prioritise yourself first and your self-care, because no more than you can be an effective carer when you've lost your mojo, your vulnerability and your capacity to ask for what you need. It comes from this